Hey guys, and welcome to day 3 in my countdown to The Walking Dead. Today is going to be my season 6 spotlight. Before we get started, I just wanted to say that my season 6 spotlight might, I don't know, be a little shorter, not as in depth than the other ones, because I have done videos throughout season 6 on my channel and I don't want to sound super repetitive, even though I'm going to be reiterating some points, you know, so I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. Okay, so I'm going to start with talking about the theme of season 6, in my opinion. So, in my opinion, season 6 was a relatively happy season, and I know that maybe not a lot of people agree with that assessment because we did have some deaths and some sad things going on, but in general, season 6, you know, was a build-up season, I believe, not storyline wise, but literally like morale build-up. I feel like they focused on almost all of the main characters a lot. I feel like they put a spotlight on so many characters in such a good way. They gave everyone like really great moments. Glenn obviously was very focused on. Maggie had moments at the hilltop with Gregory and kind of showed her skill set. Michonne and Rick finally got together. Daryl was kind of, you're seeing him kind of care about people more. The stuff with him and Denise in particular is kind of what I am referring to. I feel like this whole season is showing that our group is capable, and not just Rick's group, but the whole group. And that's kind of what No Way Out portrays. A lot of, we see everybody band together. We see everybody kind of get together and work together for the first time. I think my brother just caught up on the show and he's been watching season 6, and so he has been texting me. And he kept asking, and I thought it was hilarious, but he kept asking, he was like, when is Alexandria gonna fall? Like, when are all of these people gonna die so I don't have to learn their names? Like, I mean, he's kind of that type of person. And it was really funny because I was like, he's gonna be in for quite a surprise when he realizes that Alexandria actually isn't gonna fall. And everybody's going to work together, and it was a wonderful change of pace. You know, the farm and the prison and so many times in the past, they lost everything, got separated, things got worse. And it was the first time that, you know, stuff was kind of overrun with walkers, or there was a big battle of some kind, and everybody kind of made it out alive. And I mean, I'm gonna get to the scene in a second, but it was kind of a really great moment for Rick's group. So the moment we're all, well, I mean, at least I was anticipating from No Way Out was the Jessie losing her arm and how that was all going to turn out. It was quite an interesting, I wanted to see how they were going to transfer that moment to TV. That is quite, it has to be up there in my top 5 moments of the comics, so I was very concerned about how they were going to show that moment in the show. And I was really, really happy that I think they did a phenomenal job. They, you know, kind of changed little things here and there, but for the most part, that moment in the essence of it was almost pretty identical to the comics. And I just loved the whole sequence. I wasn't super attached to Sam, Jesse, or Ron, so I was kind of okay with it. And I liked that they made the shot through, you know, Carl getting shot in that moment as well. I thought that they kind of put that all together pretty well. But like I said, Carl, you know, he got shot, but in season 6, I love Carl. I think he is the best Carl that we've had thus far. I think season 6 did a really, really good job of bringing us happy moments. The first, I want to say 3 episodes were kind of intense and scary. And Glenn dying, you know, the wolves coming into Alexandria. And we, throughout all of these episodes, are seeing our favorite characters, and even characters we thought that couldn't step up. Father Gabriel being one, Eugene being another. It was just such a wonderful kind of progression with the season. I liked that they gave us a season where they focused on everyone working as a unit and everyone working together, you know, before they all rip our hearts out and we're about to enter into a very, very scary and unhappy era. You know, I think we're all pretty aware that even if you haven't read the comics, that you know that we're not really, this isn't gonna be great. The other thing that I wanted to kind of talk about in this spotlight is the spectrum of characters. And when I say that, I mean, I think that there's a spectrum of characters who are really willing to kill, really willing to do whatever it takes, who have possibly lost a bit of their humanity. And then characters who don't want to compromise themselves like that. What I did really like about this season in particular is that it seemed like when the season started, we had a pretty definitive idea of where everybody was on that particular spectrum. And as the season went on, we saw very particular moments where, you know, people changed. I mean, none more really than, in my opinion, Carol. She was all the way on this side of the spectrum, the one that kills people easily and did what she had to do, and she just couldn't do it anymore. I think that that was kind of a great, I think it was a great moment at the end of the episode where her and Maggie get taken, where she's like holding the rosary and it's literally like blood is gushing out of her hand because of the fact that she's so angry at herself, at, you know, like at the world, you know, that she kind of has to go and do these things, and she keeps being put into positions to the point where she ran away. I think Glenn completely on this side, but when it came down to it, he killed Negan's men in that, you know, in that kind of raid killing spree that they did. You know, he stepped up and did, and you're starting to see people kind of all almost come into like a middle ground. Everybody's kind of slowly getting to the center. Everybody's getting a certain sense of unity, in my opinion. And that, again, we're seeing this season kind of show everybody together that, honestly, up until the finale, if you haven't read the comics or whatever, you're thinking, you know, they're unstoppable. They're going to be able to do anything and everything. And it's kind of interesting to see that they didn't, you know, that they don't know as much as they think they do, and they're not as strong as you might have thought that they are. And in the end, maybe not that they're not as strong, but there might be forces to be reckoned with. and that's going to bring us into the 7th season and that whole, fucking situation that's really, really bad. So now I am going to get into the most defining moment, my favorite episode, and the MVP of the season. So, okay, to me, the most defining moment, I talked about it a little bit already, and that is the ending of No Way Out, when everybody worked together to clear out the walkers. Of course, this is the most defining moment of the season. It's the moment of the season where everybody really sort of steps up, starting with Rick's rage, so to speak, and Michonne running out after him. I love that little kiss she gives to Carl before she runs out after Rick. It's so adorable. And we're kind of seeing, Spencer come out, and I like that the 3 people who joined Rick and Michonne in the beginning were all Alexandrians, but all kind of different types of Alexandria. We don't know too much about Heath yet. Spencer, who is kind of maybe in the ill-equipped side, and then Aaron, somebody who we really like and think is an asset and stuff. And it's kind of melding everybody together. Then more Alexandrians come out. Father Gabriel's speech, little speech, that he says God has saved Alexandria because God has given us the courage to save it ourselves, was probably one of my favorite quotes of the entire season, but such a wonderful moment. Eugene having his moment and coming out. And then, of course, they had to scare us a little bit with Glenn again, with Maggie, and they had their moment. But I thought that moment in general, with every single person working together, was just absolutely amazing. And such a surprise, like I said, but kind of making them a unified front. Now, I don't know, you guys can kind of, let me know what you think of this. I don't know how much of a unified front they're going to be after what happens with Negan. I don't entirely know that everybody is going to have each other's backs. There might be some division depending on who he kills. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that all works out. My favorite episode of this season, I guess technically would be No Way Out, but I'm going to say another one because I've talked about No Way Out a little bit too much, and that is The Same Boat. It is the episode with Carol and Maggie. I think that it's a little underrated. I think it's very, very good, where they're kind of faced with these women who just, if their luck went a little shittier, if they didn't have as much of a support system, they would have been these women. And I really liked seeing the dynamic between the two, and seeing what is going to happen between, I was looking forward to seeing what was going to happen between Carol and this doppelganger, and it was interesting too to see Carol be hesitant to kill and Maggie much more willing to kill. I think Maggie in that episode is, she kind of flicks on that mama bear switch that Carol has had all along. It was a very interesting dynamic between the two of them. I think that episode is amazing, and I wanted to give it a shout out because it's just so brilliant. The MVP of season 6 is, I think undoubtedly, but you guys can argue, Glenn. To me, Glenn in season 6, he had a phenomenal season, which is one of the reasons why I think that he might be the one who is killed in the premiere. They gave him a great season. They gave him that wonderful scene where he dies. But even leading up to that scene, the whole episode, he was such a great, strong force in that episode. He made it out alive. He had these great moments with Enid. The whole thing where he finally actually killed a person, and he took it on for Heath after the fact. I just have this feeling, you know, because he had such a strong season that we watched, that, you know, even in like the second to last episode, he was the one who really wanted Daryl to turn around, you know, and he was trying to talk a little bit of sense into Daryl, because Daryl was running a little bit on emotion about what happened with Denise, and Glenn kind of said to him, you know, you're going to get somebody killed if you stay out here and you do this. We need to go back. We need to regroup and whatnot. And I love that Glenn is always kind of the voice of reason. And that really didn't change in this season. He went through some stuff in this season, but there's something very emotionally strong about him that really kind of shone through in this season, more so than other seasons. So guys, before I go, I wanted to briefly talk about the cliffhanger at the end of the season and talk about my thoughts with it, because I haven't entirely addressed it. It's gonna be brief. So I personally am not furious with the cliffhanger. We're going to get a resolution. So, I mean, here's what I'll say. The finale would have gone down in history as one of the best finales ever if they showed who it was. But I'm not mad. I'm not angry. I don't know, it didn't piss me off. Here's the thing, comic book viewers, comic book readers knew what was going to happen. We kind of knew what the ending scene was going to be. I think, listen, I'm not as naive to not think that it's kind of a stunt to make sure that people watch the premiere, of course. But I also think that maybe the writers were thinking about the fact that now, you know, because me all season, I was thinking like, oh my God, it's going to be Glenn, it's going to be Daryl, it's going to be Michonne, it's going to be blah, blah, blah. Like who's going to meet Lucille, you know, in that sense. And I think they wanted to give that sort of anticipation to everybody else who didn't know that that scene was coming, who was unaware. But yeah, I wanted to touch on that. I just wanted to talk about that and just kind of let you guys know how I felt about that. It didn't bother me that much. I wish that I had time to like grieve before moving on with the rest of the story. But other than that, I don't know. It didn't upset me as much as, I mean, people are like, on that video, my reaction video for the season 6 finale, people were like going in and just being like, not at me, but like at the writers and saying like, I'm not gonna watch this show anymore. Then don't watch it. It's very simple to fix that problem, but I don't know. Anyway, that's just my opinion on it. If I could choose, I wish they would have shown it, but you know, they didn't. Life goes on. And now we're all kind of really anticipating the premiere in weird ways. Like, we're happy that it's coming back, but not happy because I feel like we're gonna lose people that we love. And now it's 2 people instead of just 1, so fuck that, right? All right, I'm gonna end it there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.